Now with the banjo strung up to pitch and the bag of birdshot back in place, I'm going to be showing you a couple of tools I use. This started off live as a nail end of it, and it's made for grabbing those strings while they're under tension, pulling them up, moving them out of the way, putting them back. I've got this 30 thousandths feeler gauge. The 30 thousand part is somewhat arbitrary. You want one that's hefty enough it's not going to bend and flop around on you, because what I want to do is lay it across a couple of frets in order to get a measurement of the fret height. I already know these are at or about 40 thousandths tall. Now I'm going to measure out these frets. I got a feeler gauge set here. Actually, these came from Stuart McDonald. I like them, but I'm very disappointed that they're steel and they rust like crazy. I know these are about 40 thousandths, so I'm going to stack a 20. I don't have two 20s. It's hard to read too. I got a 20 and a 22. 20 thousandths, 22 thousandths with a little bit of rust. Yeah, that's really close to flush right there. And you can see what I've done there. I just stuck the feeler gauge under here. I'll check it in a couple spots, but I'm pretty confident. I got a warm and fuzzy feeling. All right, so I said about 5 thousandths. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stack up a 20 and a 26. There you go, about 6 thousandths over the plane of the fingerboard, the frets. The other nice thing about these is if you've got your block setting up here, these can rest up against the fret, the nut, and they should, and this can rest right here. We're going to move the string out of the way and let them rest on this feeler gauge, bass and treble side. It just maintains some balance there. And go ahead and deepen this slot. We got a ways to go here. I've done this a long time, so I kind of know when to stop or when I'm getting close. You should take as much time as necessary. Keeping the dust blown off so I can see as well. If this truss rod cover's in your way along this stelling, it's a little heftier than it is on the Gibson. You should remove it if it makes you nervous. Now I'm getting close. Now, I want to angle this now gently down this way. I don't want this whole parallel with the fingerboard angle. I'm just going to sort of split the difference. That provides a gentler break, but still provides a hard edge off of which the string can ride. The closer I get, the slower I file. Because as soon as it touches this feeler gauge, I hear this distinct little noise, and I'm done. That's it. Don't go any farther. Walk away. String slot number 1 is finished. I'm going to move string number 2 to string slot number 1 and continue. String number 3 can go to string number 4 slot. String number 2 can be returned to string number 2 slot. Leave string number 1 and string number 4 on the outside to hold this feeler gauge down. We're going to add another feeler gauge to this as soon as we reach string number 4. Something else you want to do. You want to angle these back toward the post where the string will attach. You don't want to go straight up the headstock. You want to be angled back toward, in this case, the third, in that case, the second, in this case, the first. You want to aim toward the inside of these. You can just less stress on the string. String number 3. Done. string number 4. Let's put string number 3 back in string number 3 slot. Let's ride 4 and 1 up in their slots. Remove the feeler gauge, and that's 26 thousandths. Let's see if we can add up 2 more thousandths. That would be a 20 and a 28. Get on over there. 20 and 28. There it is. 20 and 28. There we go. I added 2 thousandths. I'll go ahead and take the first and the fourth off. Depending on how they stack up, if they're next to each other, you might need to pull this back out so that they're flat up against each other. You don't want to be too generous. And then we're going to slot number 4. Again, I'm going to aim it back toward its respective machine post. Getting close. There it is. This banjo nut would play just beautifully. However, there's a whole lot of material left riding above the top of those strings. If your capo is living behind the nut or up against the nut, and that's a great place for them to live, because I can't lose a $125 capo if I don't remove it from my banjo. So what you want to do is take the meat from off the top of that, so you have approximately the depth of the string left, so that you can just barely loosen your capo, slide it down the neck, and get on with it. We're going to loosen these strings again. Now with the strings laid aside and slack so they don't damage your banjo, remember I said just a little teeny drop of cyanoacrylate or crazy glue on here? That's because we're about to remove this. Now, to do that, you don't need to score it, because we've already scored the finish line that we had before. So all I'm going to do is very gently, and at a low angle here, tap this nut loose. You don't want to damage this one. You just work really hard to make it. There. That little teeny drop of glue held it long enough so that we could do what we needed to do, but was small enough that we could get it loose when we do, what we got to do now, which is take this back over to the grinder and make this thing pretty. All right, there's our nut, and those slots are pretty deep. So we're going to turn on the sander and carefully, I'm going to get rid of some material. Now that we've done that, that looks a whole lot better. We want to reshape the top of this nut. Now that we've got this thing shaped and everything looks pretty nice, I still want to make it a little prettier. I'm going to start with getting the banjo out of the way and using some 320 grit free cut paper. Don't get too carried away. All you're doing is taking care of sanding marks and so forth. I'll put some down on a harder surface. You don't want to take too much off here either, because this thing fits perfectly. Taking too much material off will mess that up. So know when to quit. Now I'm going to switch to a piece of 400 grit wet dry sandpaper. This is pretty slick stuff. It's not going to take a lot of material off. The 320 is pretty limited. You'd have to get pretty aggressive to take a lot off with the 320. But this smooths out the edges left by the 320. Then I can switch to 600 grit paper. Seems like a lot to do, doesn't it? And now a piece of 4/0 steel wool will finish the job pretty nicely. It's actually 2 pieces. I want to make sure I clean up any mess I make. Steel wool and stuff, that's still abrasive stuff. There. This nut has a nice sheen and all the pencil marks are gone. It looks very professional. It looks like it came from the factory. You can put this on a buffer if you like. I find that sometimes if you buff out bone and you've buffed anything else with any color or metal in it at all, that you'll get shiny, but you'll get little dark spots in here. So I kind of like to leave it where it is now. This is the nut's final installation. Strings out of the way. I'm going to put a slightly more, but not too much more, of a generous dot of the medium viscosity cyanoacrylate, crazy glue, hot stuff Super T. And I'm just going to hold it in place for a couple seconds there. Let it do its thing. I'm going to prep it for the restring. I want to do this symmetrically. I want to tighten up the first string. Then I want to tighten up the fourth string. What I'm doing is I'm using the strings as a clamp. Wow, that thing's perfect. Good. No more buzz, and the thing plays great. It feels perfect. When you put a capo on, it doesn't stretch it out of tune. This is nice. Alright, another successful mission. Thank you for spending this time with me, and thank you for viewing this video on how to replace a bone nut on a banjo. Please visit me on my website. Send me emails if you like. The website address is acousticbox.com. And please have someone reputable work on your expensive banjo. Don't try it yourself unless you're sure. Have a great day. Thank you. This is Richie Dotson saying goodbye for now.